I had just bought the cottage when my daughter-in-law called. We'll be there in 2 hours with 20 from my family. Prepare rooms, cook for all, we're staying 2 weeks. I smiled. And made a plan. The box still sat open on the floor, its flaps folded neatly like wings. I hadn't even unpacked the linens when the phone rang. I wiped my hands on my jeans and answered without checking the name. I didn't need to. Only one person called like that. Hey, Calvina, just a heads up, we'll be there in about 2 hours. There's 20 of us. From my side, I told them you had the space. If you could get the rooms ready, that'd be great. Oh, and food. Obviously, that was it. No pause. No, is this a good time? No, congratulations on the new place. She made it sound like a delivery notification. I stayed silent for a beat, letting the words settle like dust. Then I said, all right, because I've learned that's the best thing to say when someone isn't asking for your input. Anyway, when the call ended, I stood there for a long moment listening to the quiet creak of the new walls. I'd only moved in 3 days ago. My name was still on the paperwork in the folder on the counter, my name no one else's, and yet somehow Kinley had already declared it a family lodge, her family, to be exact. I didn't pace, I didn't cry. I just walked over to the kitchen drawer, pulled out a yellow notepad, and flipped it open to a fresh page. I wrote the date at the top, drew a line down the middle, on one side, food, towels, trash bags, sleeping arrangements on the other, legal enforcement documents, copies. I underlined copies twice. There were 22 chairs in the garage that came with the house. I counted them last week with a kind of joy I hadn't felt in years. I'd imagined them full, yes, but with friends, laughter, potlucks, not this. They were coming whether I liked it or not. So I decided to like something else, boundaries. I walked to the guest room and changed the sheets, humming softly, not from contentment, but calculation. By the time the second pillow was fluffed, I had already made my first call for decades. I'd made do rooms that weren't mine, kitchens I tiptoed in after Roger passed. Camden had said, just until you find your footing, Mom. I believed him. I always did, but 6 years later, I was still in their basement, folding their laundry, packing school lunches. I was never thankful they didn't charge rent. Kinley liked to point that out often, but they collected everything else, my time, my hands, my silence. That's why this cottage mattered, not for the size or the lake view or the newly tiled bathroom, it was mine. Fully. I'd saved for it the way other women my age saved for surgeries or cruises, no loans, no CO signers, no shared title. But even before Kinley's call, I had known this wouldn't be simple. She had always treated my things like a shared resource. If I baked something, she brought it to her book club. If I bought new towels, she said, oh, good. We needed more. If I sat down, she asked, could you grab me the remote? The house was new, but the dynamic wasn't, so when she told me 20 people were coming, I didn't panic. I prepared. I stripped the spare beds and shook out the blankets. Kinley's youngest sister Rhonda had eczema. She'd complained if the sheets were scratchy. I wiped down the bathroom sink with vinegar. Someone would still leave toothpaste in it. I laid out folded towels I knew half would vanish by the end of the trip. I didn't do it out of fear. I did it the way you might set the stage before the final act, meticulously, precisely, with a strange calm, because the second page of my yellow notepad didn't list towels or snacks. It listed line items, guest policy, local ordinance, codes, occupancy caps. I'd spoken to a notary. I had the template ready. All it would take was one more step, and that step would arrive with the sound of gravel cracking beneath unfamiliar tires. The first van pulled up a little before noon. The second arrived 10 minutes later. Then the sedan, followed by 3 people carrying folding chairs and an energy none of them had earned. I counted as they spilled out onto the gravel. 22 and. Kinley had miscounted or she hadn't cared. The greetings were loud, uncoordinated. A few nodded in my direction. No hugs, no congratulations on the new home. One cousin waved vaguely while dragging in a rolling suitcase. Someone else opened the fridge without asking. They didn't come with casseroles or flowers. They came with Bluetooth speakers, travel mugs, tangled phone chargers, and questions that weren't really questions. What's the Wi-Fi password? You only have one bathroom downstairs. Don't tell me you don't have oat milk. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. They moved like they'd been here before, like this wasn't a guest visit, but a relocation. The eldest aunt took the primary bedroom without asking. Kinley's cousin dropped her bag on the twin bed I'd set up for Camden when he visited next month, and when I returned from putting their coats in the hall closet, 2 teenagers were already arguing about which bed had the better view. I went to the small den, the one with the pull-out couch and the lamp that flickered. I gathered my things from the larger guest room quietly. No one offered to help. No one asked if I was okay, giving up my space. Kinley caught me carrying my folded clothes. She gave a sympathetic smile. The kind people wear when they've already made the decision for you. It's just 2 weeks. She said, her hand resting on my shoulder, be flexible. I nodded. Flexibility. I've learned is only admired when it benefits the person asking for it. I took the smallest room in the house without a word. Then I shut the door, not hard, but with purpose, and by nightfall, I had finished revising the contract that no one knew was waiting. I placed the receipt gently on the dining table, right between a half-empty bottle of sriracha and someone's damp flip-flops. 267.94 just for transparency, I said, folding my hands. Kinley glanced at it, barely pausing between bites. "We'll Venmo you later," she said, with a laugh, nudging her cousin, who was already scrolling on his phone. No one asked what I had bought. No one offered to split it. I watched them pass plates like it was a potluck they hosted. Later that afternoon, someone spilled grape soda all over the porch cushions. No one cleaned it. They just flipped the cushion over and walked away. That same evening, Kinley's brother tried to fix the slow-dripping bathroom faucet after I mentioned it. 10 minutes later, I heard metal snap followed by him muttering something about cheap fixtures. The water shut off. Valve was twisted out of place. The house smelled like takeout and spilled beer. By the third night, I heard music playing at midnight from 2 different rooms. My kitchen knives had been moved. The toilet paper holder was broken off the wall. I stopped asking. I just noted I wiped down counters, swept up trail mix from the hallway carpet, replaced a cracked plate with one from the backup set I'd hidden in the top cupboard before they arrived.